All right, on MMA Canada, you are locked in, and we've got a very big fight coming up with Fight League Atlantic, which goes down on February the 1st, and FLA 18 is going to be upon us sooner rather than later, and very intrigued to take in this upcoming fight as Abdelaziz gets out there and tests skills against Blake Oswald and Great Heaven Blake as part of the MMA Canada experience today. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I just finished up a strength and conditioning session and had our game yet, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready for February 1st, man.
You got in that good work with Gord and all the lads?
Yeah, Gordon McFall, my strength and conditioning coach, man. He's a game changer. He's made me into the man I am today with this fighting stuff and just lifestyle in general, more than just fighting on its own.
That's interesting. So it would seem like, yeah, like you said, he's informed you in a positive way in terms of like your personal lifestyle and whatnot. I imagine just even like the direct work with the conditioning would be such a huge thing for you because, I mean, it seems like one of those big things in the sport is the ability to weaponize pace. And like I've worked out a bit at Gord's and it was probably one of the harder, if not the hardest workouts I've done. So, I mean, I'm sure if you're doing that on a consistent basis, that'll really give you that gas tank and ability to weaponize pace and all that.
Yeah, all the top guys on our team has been working with Gord for a long time, and like I said before, like he's made me into the man I am inside and outside of fighting. Him and him and a few of the other guys on our team, we work together and grind. And he, like you said yourself, one of the hardest workouts you've ever done, and we do that on a weekly basis, 2 or 3 times a week, as many times we can get up there to see him. We make it happen. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just great to see. Like, it seems like there's such like a familial kind of dynamic almost with everyone that's involved in that community. Like, obviously Gord with the strength and conditioning, and seems like Justin Bruckman is a big part of the fold. I almost don't want to leave anyone out, but I'm just trying to illustrate a general point. Like James Clarke seems like he's big in the fold, and just seems like there's great community around this general area. Like great work had at Calcium Rit. Like, how important is it to have that dynamic where people are really growing your skills as a fighter, but there's also that like deeper connectivity in terms of like you guys having like that personal relationship even outside of mixed martial arts.
yeah, it's huge, man. We treat each other like a family, hold each other accountable. That's the main thing, right? You see a lot of teams, they work together, but they don't really hold each other accountable outside of the fighting aspect, or once they go home after their training sessions, they're not holding each other accountable. Whereas we're more like a family, we let each other know if you're fucking around, you're gonna be told by somebody on the team, whether it's me, James, Gord, Bruckman, Condi, Joe, Cal Samarick guys, Brandon Calgenic, all those guys they've all played a huge part, not only in my fighting, but in my life. So it's great.
And it seems like things are timing out in kind of a interesting way too. Like I imagine it was maybe a bit of a setback to have that Davis Rapagna fight canceled on the BTC card that was set for Oshawa, but we're back with FLA now after earning your first pro MMA win under their banner more than 2 years ago now. So did it all kind of like work out in a certain way, just that timeline that I touched on there?
Yeah, like everything happens for a reason. I had a little injury there, and it was a little setback, but like I said, there everything happens for a reason. It just gave me more time to grow, more time to learn about myself, my diet, my strength and conditioning, my fighting, all of it. So any time off, if you're using it right, is good time off.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, just great to see you back in the fold. It seems like FLA is also excited about it. Like they were touting that this was your return to the East Coast for the first time since 2022, where you garnered their submission of the year distinction at FLA 5. And yeah, also in that post, they were talking about how you walked to the front of the line and really demanded this Abdelaziz fight and wanted to come to the East Coast and, really shock the people out there a little bit, just in the sense that you're kind of like more that away player, quote unquote, in a certain regard. Like, what was it about this Abdelaziz fight that, the company put out that kind of wording? Like, he really walked to the front of the line and demanded this fight. Like, what about this fight compelled you to call specifically for it?
Yeah, I called him out. He's 4-0. He's got a good record, but I don't think he's fought anybody like me. So that's what helps me get up in the morning, makes me hungry. 1-4 guy just doesn't get that hard on in the morning type of thing, if you know what I'm trying to say. But and a 4-0 guy, it makes me hungry to go and take that O from him. So it just makes me work a little bit harder, and it makes me hungrier. If anything, I like the tough fights. I've only fought guys with winning records or with finishes on their record and things like that. So if you look at the guys that I've fought, I think. The Mexican guy I fought, he's now 8-1 or something, or 8-2. Kevin Popovic, my only loss there, I cut 17 pounds in one night, took it on 25 days notice, and cut 40 pounds in 25 days. So any fighter that understands fighting, they know how that feels, and I still won the first round on that. Jericho, I smashed him in the first round, and he was their top guy that they were all talking about and their poster boy. But now Abdel's that poster boy now too, so that makes me hungry, and that's what I want. So
Yeah, that does make sense and a lot to talk about with the fight for sure. But I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't touch on the, Oshawa fight that you kind of referenced there, that Pedro Rubio fight that you had there in June of 2023. Like I mentioned, the fact that you weren't able to compete on the BTC Oshawa card, which, as you said, things happen and things work out as they do. But just being that you're like a fighter from the surrounding area and everything like that, like what was that moment like getting a victory in Oshawa and everything?
that was amazing. I stuck to the game plan. I was pissed off I didn't get the finish, honestly, but 30-24 scorecard, I think it was, is pretty significant, and I don't even think he landed any significant strikes on me if he even touched my face at all. So that part was nice. And a lot of people will talk and say, "Oh, I beat a Mexican, whatever, blah blah blah." But he's a tough fucking Mexican. He's not just a slouch. Like I said, I think he's 7-2 now, or 8-2 or something. So he's got a really good record. He's a game. He's a game opponent. It's not like I'm looking for bums or looking for anybody with a shitty record of 1-4 or 1-5. No, I want those tough fights. I want to go out there and challenge myself. That's the only way I'm going to get better. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think your career definitely speaks to that. And I mean, that must have been such a great night for not just yourself, but the team, like James Clarke getting a big win. And just, yeah, it felt like there was like a few like compatriots from like your training circle on that card and everything. That must have been a big weekend for everybody with Durham Fight Series and just the individual wins that were accrued through that.
Yeah, that was amazing for Ramp in general. And on the other side, we've all just been growing since then too. I went to Thailand there for 2 months. I had time to go and train at Bangtao with Frank Hickman and those guys, and went down with James for 2 months. So anyone who knows fighting, once again, they know what that does to somebody to go down and train with guys from the UFC, from PFL, Bellator on a regular basis. It's a game changer to know that you can hang with some of these top guys and put on a show with whoever you're going in there with. It helps with the mental game especially, and like that's what separates the top guys from top 5 in the UFC, top 10, top 15, or top 10, top 5 in Canada. It's that mental game, right? We all have access nowadays with the internet and stuff like that to study fighting, to go and get the right diet and stuff like that. I got TJ on my side with the diet part. So he's a wizard with those things, Gord McFall, and everything's just fallen into place to continue to grow my career as a fighter and entertainer at the end of the day, because it is an entertainment business too. So I'm going out there to entertain. I'm not just going out there to play around, play point fighting and shit like that. I'm going out there to try and put on a clinic, to try and put on a show, and let people know that I don't come to fuck around.
Yeah, no, for sure. That comes across in the approach and everything like that, no doubt. But that was something I did also want to touch on a bit. That trip you had circa April of 2024 per an IG post I saw where you were at Bangtao Muay Thai and everything. And one of the things I was seeing within that trek, it looked like you linked up with Khamzat Chimaev as he was getting some rounds in. What was that experience like meeting Khamzat and I guess even just seeing some of the subsequent work he got in the gym that day, I guess?
Sorry, man, you cut out there. Yeah, seeing Hamza train and stuff, it just showed me what more I need to add to my game, right? Some people go there and see top level guys train like that and be like, oh shit, maybe I'm not in the right career or anything like that. But it just made me understand more that I am, and there's more I need to do inside and outside of the cage, always, like on a weekly basis, monthly basis, daily basis, whatever it might be. And seeing how those guys work out there is just it was a game changer for me, and I just brought it back home. I brought it back with the team and continued to grind even harder. It woke me up a little bit in some senses, and it also solidified that I'm doing the right things in some senses.
And I guess you were talking about, getting that direct like training work with certain people from a lot of the more globally kind of renowned organizations. Like who would you say at Bangtao you were, I guess, regularly getting in that work with? Like I guess names from like maybe like UFC or PFL and whatnot. Like who are some of these like specific fighters that you found yourself getting in that regular work with when you were in Thailand?
I got to spar with Brendan Lafana. You guys all know who he is. PFL $1 million champ. Kicked my leg off, chopped my calf off. It was a great experience and then I just went and asked him, how he's setting it up, things like that, and just began to implement it to my own game. And you can either, go in there and lose those rounds and get down on yourself and get down in your head, or you can go and ask them, how you doing that, man, and what are you doing extra type of thing. And that's where I start to just grow as a fighter, grow as a person, and yeah, like Frank Hickman, we were there wrestling every single morning, 8:30 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. with him. You guys all know who that is, and Izzy's and Volk's wrestling coach. So that was a game changer alone. And then James was prepping for a fight, so it just made us that much more hungrier. And yeah, like Nicholas Mata was there. He's a great guy just to talk to and hang around with. Jimmy Crew got to go out for dinner with him and talk to him about the mental game and stuff like that. Like these guys all said little tiny pieces that I took from them and started to implement into my lifestyle. And it's just once you start to go and experience those things, you realize there's so many more doors to open in this fight game, I guess you can call it. I don't really call it a game. It's a lifestyle. It's what I live every single day. Like I wake up in the gym, I teach in the gym, I train every single day. I'm not cutting corners, stuff like that. So it's like I said, I wake up in the gym like Hamzat living in the gym in a room and stuff like that. Like that's what I do. So I don't shy away from those tough sparring rounds. Keithion Whitner, I don't know if you guys heard of him. He's a top guy coming out of Bangtao too. I got to spar with him. Um, so many guys. Bruno, I forget how to pronounce his last name, but he's in the PFL as well. I got to go in on the Saturdays for some of his camp, and it was amazing experience altogether, and I can't wait to show what this time off has done. Like I said, time off can either make or break people, and I know that it's going to make me into a better fighter. And once Abdel sees that pace that I'm going to put on him, he's not going to want to play that point fighting game. And just so Abdel knows, he ain't touching my fucking neck either. There's no rear naked chokes happening because I know that's what he wants. That black belt in jiu-jitsu is going to go out the window when I punch him in the face. So
Yeah, it's just such an interesting kind of fight because well, I mean, I guess like related to your even like preparations more so, and then I guess just the time off competitively, but in concert with it being a lifestyle thing, like you said, do you have a certain, I guess, specific number of fights that you would ideally like to get this year? I mean, obviously, based on it being such a lifestyle thing for you, you would presumably be game to get out there and compete whenever, but yeah, just like what are your thoughts on that? Is there a particular strength of schedule you want to have, being that this is relatively early in the calendar year? Like you could conceivably have a somewhat busy year if all things fall into place. So I guess just thought to ask if that was within your purview at all.
yeah, I want to keep it super active this year. I want at least 4 or 5 fights. I told BTC I'd fight for them twice, so I'm going to keep my word on that and fight for BTC twice here. Eventually, they got a show March 16th, but I'm not looking past Abdel either. He's a tough opponent, and if you look past them, it's gonna turn on you. He is 4-0. I got to respect that part of him. But yeah, 4 or 5 fights this year. I'm gonna go to Thailand for a couple months again, and maybe get some Thai fights in down there. Try to get on that Bali card, maybe. Who knows? M2 MMA might have a show. But 4 or 5 fights is the goal this year, at least minimum. And March 16th or 15th, I think it is, BTC's got a show in Kingston as well. So we're going to try to fill the calendar this year and keep it super active. Uh, Another thing on top of that, I fought every single fight so far. I've actually fought with a broken hand, so I got my right hand back now. I had a good little surgery on it that went amazing, so that's why I kind of took off this last year just to get back in the groove of things, get my strength and conditioning back, all those type of things. Chiropractor says the right side's stronger than the left now, so I've been fighting with one hand for about 12 fights. I don't, if anybody watches my fights, I don't throw my right hand because it was broken, but nobody knew that. So now that I got a right hand, it just adds that much more confidence. I beat Jericho with one hand. I went out and fought Kevin Popovic there with one hand. The Mexican guy, I fought him with one hand. I'm not shy to take fights if I'm injured, things like that. But at the end of the day, no one's ever gonna know until afterwards. So it's yeah, it's gonna be an active year. That's for sure.
Yeah, that is kind of wild that you, I guess, had those injuries and were licensed to fight in like even Ontario, just how stringent they are with like the medical requirements and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, it was broken bone in my hand, so they wouldn't really be able to figure that out anyways. But I hit it nice and well, and I did my whole amateur run. I think I went nine or something and 0 in Thai boxing, MMA altogether with probably 4 or 5 first round finishes fighting illegally during COVID because we had no shows. So I had to go out on the res and fight people that nobody even knows about. Some of them are pro MMA fighters that I was fighting when I had barely any experience. So I'm not shy to take those fights, injured, not injured. Either way, I'm a dog. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna put on a show, and I'm gonna leave it all on the line every single time. And my fans, my family, my friends, my coaches, they all know that. They know how I live and what I put into this. So it's all gonna show February 1st.
Do you have any interesting stories from when you were like fighting on the res through like COVID and you were fighting these like, guys that are pros now and anything like that? I mean, that sounds like an interesting landscape to say the least.
Yeah, like I fought in a backyard once that was just a cage set up. He was 2-4 pro guy. Actually, he just fought Thomas Mandra there in Thai. Thomas Mandra smashed him. He finished him. Thomas comes and trains at Cal Samurai. Sometimes super solid Thai guy, fucking deadly guy. And I fought him there, Theo, Tony, I forget his name exactly, but fought another guy on the res, went in, I broke the cage in the first 30 seconds, they had to fix the cage, put new boards underneath, and then I finished him in under a minute with a TKO, so there's a lot of things that aren't on my record. I've been competing in jiu-jitsu since I was about 15 years old. I wrestled through high school. I played double A hockey. I played rugby. I played football during high school. I've been an athlete my whole entire life. So the strength and conditioning aspect, that's what's going to separate me from Abdel 100%. And there's some more cool stories, I'm sure. Fought on that Cal Samurai card. I fought twice in one night because one guy pulled out. So I went out and fought a guy. I finished him with a heel hook in about 40 seconds or a minute, and then they came over to me and said, "You want to fight again one more time tonight?" And I said, "Fuck yeah, that's what I'm here for." So I there's been tons of times where I could have shied away and not been and been selfish and not fought at times, but I love to leave it on the line and challenge myself. That's what life's all about, right? Is going to those uncomfortable places and finding comfort in it. That's what separates people. So once again, Abdel 4-0. Yeah, he wanted 150 instead of 55. So I didn't shy away from that either. You know, the uncomfortable. We'll go down a little bit of weight and go out there and put on a show once again.
And it seemed like when you were talking about Abdel before, you really mentioned, I guess, your perception that his desire would be to like sink that choke in and use the jujitsu base and everything like that. And just curious to get your thoughts on what you see transpiring in this one, because, like I said, it seems like you're looking at his desire to want to implement his submission grappling. And just with his fights across amateur and pro, he's only needed the judges a single time. And you obviously have a very exciting fighting style, as we've kind of talked about here. Like, I think it's fair to say that probably you're thinking this one will end inside the distance, but do you have like a clear, I guess, reoccurring visualization of what you see happening in this particular fight here?
Violence, man. I'm gonna be a violent motherfucker in there, and I don't think he's ready for that. Like I said, I'm not going out there to touch point and try to try to win on points. At the end of the day, I'm going out there to leave it all on the line. I'm gonna try to break you, and if I don't break you, I'm gonna hit that brick wall with my head until I get through that fucking brick wall, man. Like, yeah, I'm not playing no point or try to hold on to you or anything like that. You're gonna eat things on the way in on your wrestling, and I'm gonna make sure that I make you pay on the feet too. And if it goes to the ground, I have submissions. I have submissions in multiple MMA fights. I got submissions against top level jiu-jitsu guys. I'm good on the ground as well. I'm dangerous on the ground. I'm not only gonna control you on the ground, I'm gonna try to break your face at the same time. So I hope he's ready for that.
Yeah, it sounds like an exciting fight. I guess these like sponsorship packages you have, prospective sponsors should be getting on this sooner rather than later, I guess, eh?
Yeah, I have a great support system actually. Lots of fun. I don't have them all with me right now, but I got lots of people who have supported me since day one, and they all know what I put into this. I put my heart and soul into this shit. And like McGregor said, lose your mind in the fucking process, right? And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And like like I said, man, violence. I'm gonna be one violent motherfucker. So I hope you're ready for it, Abdel.
Yeah, I just figured I'd mention that because I think you'd had a post about sponsorship packages still being available. But yeah, you have had good sponsors and a great support system all throughout, it seems like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like we have a great support system within the ramp community. A few others outside of it as well, and I'm always appreciative. I thank them so much for what they do. Without them, like we all know, what fighting makes it. It doesn't make jack shit until you make it to the big show. If anything, you're losing money every time you fight. But like I said, it's a lifestyle, right? We love it so much that we don't give a shit to lose money. We love to fight. We're inside the ramp community. If you don't love to fight, you're gonna be weeded out eventually, type of thing.
Yeah, well said, man. And I appreciate you making the time to talk today. It's been great getting to chat, but in being mindful of your time and the rest of your schedule, I figured I'd give you the floor in case you had a final thought you wanted to add as we're wrapping up here, Blake.
I'm now February 1st, man. I'm coming for your fucking head. Don't even try to touch my neck. Thank you to my sponsors. Thank you to my team, my family. You guys are all what make it possible. Without you guys, like I said, I wouldn't be here. It costs money to fight it in Canada and on these shows. So until you're in the big show, you're not making jack shit. You're paying expenses. You're paying to go to Thailand. You're paying to go to all these other gyms to try and learn and grow as a person. My team, they're amazing. Like I said, not just inside the cage, outside the cage. They've built me into a different person. That 5 years ago I wasn't the same person. Only some people know my story. The ones that do, they understand why I work so hard and do what I do, and I'm just gonna keep doing that.
Yeah, well, it was great getting all these insights from you. It seems like on a physical level, just with your body being recuperated and just the preparation you're putting into it and the quality that Abdelaziz also brings to the table. Just yeah, I was excited for this fight before talking to you, man, but definitely that much more excited heading into February 1st. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on the MMA Canada platform today ahead of FLA 18. And yeah, looking forward to peeping this when it goes down, man. But until then, you have a good rest of your day, Blake. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, man. Much appreciated. And guys like yourself who give us the publicity and stuff like that. It's what we need more of in Canada. So I appreciate your time just as much as you appreciate mine, man. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. I love talking to the fighters on the rise and stuff like that. It's a great sport, and we have a lot of great fighters in Canada. So yeah, I appreciate you making the time, man. You have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, man. You as well.